Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy Williams, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Molly Pitcher and her role in the Revolutionary War. The story of Molly Pitcher is intriguing. It goes as saying that Molly Pitcher carried pitchers of water to soldiers at the Battle of Monmouth, and after her husband collapsed, she took his place firing his cannon until the battle ended. It was common for wives of soldiers to follow their husbands close to battle and help out as needed. And so this story has some truth in that sense. Um, and there are some firsthand accounts of Molly Pitcher. This one comes from a Dr. Waldo. He said, "One of the camp women I must give a little praise to. Her gallant, whom she attended in battle, being shot down, she immediately took up his gun and cartridges, and like a Spartan heroine, fought with astonishing bravery, discharging the piece with as much regularity as any soldier present. This is a wounded officer whom I dressed, bandaged, told me he did see himself, she being in his platoon, and assured me I might depend on its truth." In this account, he speaks about his gun and cartridges, and I'd just like to make the point, or maybe even the argument, that maybe that's referring to a musket and not so much a cannon. But that's up for interpretation. A lot of historians have argued about that account. So, was she real? Was she even a real person? Did this actually happen? Um, Mappin and Martin talk about this, and they say, but for all of her fame, we actually know quite little about the person called Molly Pitcher. She has much in common with figures like King Arthur, Robin Hood, and Davy Crockett, historical personages whose real lives have been usurped by myth. Whatever it was true or false, the Molly story had legs. And this was the era when the nation was being torn by disunion that would ultimately lead to civil war. There was nostalgia for the heroes of the Revolutionary War era. Molly Pitcher filled that need. Um, the legacy of Molly Pitcher really took hold in the 1830s, 40s, and 50s. And so that's why they're referring to prior to the Civil War and that. So, looking at who Molly Pitcher was, there's a lot of evidence that suggests that maybe she was Mary McAuley. And there's a strong case that Mary McAuley was Molly Pitcher. In 1822, the Pennsylvania legislature, at her request, awarded her a pension. When the bill was introduced in the legislature, it justified the pension on the grounds that she was the widow of a soldier of the Revolutionary War. But the bill's text was subsequently changed to award the pension for her services during the Revolutionary War. Right? That suggests that, yes, in fact, she was the legendary Molly Pitcher. Mary's first husband, William Hayes, served with Colonel John Proctor's Pennsylvania Regiment of Artillery, which fought at the Battle of Monmouth, giving, again, the story a little bit of light or truth. Over her grave was erected, 1876, a headstone was inscribed, Molly McAuley, renowned in history as Molly Pitcher. Okay, so why is this story needed in American history? The evidence is there. It's clear that there was a woman at the Battle of Monmouth who performed heroically, and the argument is made that it was Mary McAuley, even though she may never in her life have heard the name Molly Pitcher. There is enough in the story to warrant our admiration for her. In a moment of crisis, it proved that military bravery is a quality that is not confined to the male sex. And from the Ulrich article, the author asks the question, what made Betsy Ross different? And the same can be asked of Molly Pitcher. Hilary Lowe argues of Ross, like she argues that she fits the narrative of freedom and the role of a woman during the American Revolution. It has become more about the image and the meaning behind the character than about the person herself. The general public doesn't particularly care if the story is true or not. I think the same argument can definitely be made with Molly Pitcher, that whether or not this was a real story or a real person, um, just the events of her taking the call and fighting in the Battle of Monmouth goes a long way in giving Americans a heroine that was much needed at the time. and did so throughout the 1830s, 40s, and 50s. Thank you.